Hello, Honors Algebra. Mr. Lawrence here with your flipped lesson for February 7th. This is going to be pretty simple. Remember, third period kids, when second period ends tomorrow, you go to your locker, put your stuff away, except for your coat. You're only going to need your coat. We're going to walk over to Viz. Hopefully we'll have good weather. Last I heard it was supposed to be mild, but you never know. First period kids, you're going to be working on some application problems. This should be pretty easy stuff. Won't take us too long. So we're just going to quickly review. Remember, we've learned this new equation that I'm not in right mode. A equals P times the quantity of 1 plus or minus R to the power T. And remember, T is the time in years. That's very important. R is the rate as a decimal. Remember, you have to take the percentage and divide it by 100. The 1 is in there so that you don't have to do two steps. The plus or minus, plus if we're increasing or something is growing, minus if it is decreasing or shrinking. And then the A, the P is the principal, the amount you start with, and A is the amount at the end. All right, so let me read you a problem and tell you that, let's see here. Let me find a good problem. All right. In 3 years, you want to have $2,000 in your savings account to buy a new computer. The current interest rate for a savings account is 4%, compounded annually. How much do you need to deposit in a savings account now in order to have enough to buy a computer? Well, so in 3 years, you want to have a total of $2,000. Okay, you know the rate is 4%. Well, we know the rate is 4%, which the number we'll actually use will be 0.04, right? We know the time is 3 years, right? 3 years. Okay, we don't know the principal amount. Okay, we don't know that. And we know that we want to have the ending amount to be, what was it, $2,000, I believe. Let me just double check that. Yeah, $2,000. Okay. This is one way to approach the problem, and we could plug them in. So we would get 2,000 equal to P, because we don't know P. We know our money is growing, so it's going to be 1 plus 0.04. It's going to be raised to the power 3. Now, excuse me, we want to get that P alone, right? I have this big, ugly number right here attached to P, right? It's attached by multiplication. To undo that, I'm going to divide. What am I going to divide each side by? By that big, ugly number, 1.04 as a quantity to the third power. Okay? Now, having seen it done this way, hopefully it's dawning on you that I could solve this problem in another way. But I'm going to go to my calculator at this point, and I'm going to take 2,000, and I'm going to divide it by 1.04 raised to the quantity, or raised to the power of 3. And I put an extra quantity in there just to make sure everything happened the way I wanted it to. The extra set of parentheses are probably unnecessary, but sometimes with calculators, they can misunderstand what I'm trying to tell it to do. So I put that extra set of parentheses in just so I know, the calculator knows I want to divide the 2,000 by the entire denominator. Okay, so when I do that, I'm going to have to invest $1,777.99. All right, so that means P would be $1,777.99. Okay, so I've invested that amount today at 4% interest. I could gain up to 2,000, which seems kind of low, but I'll tell you what, let's test it, make sure we're right. If we are right, and I take 1777.99, and I multiply by 1 plus 0.04 to the third power, and I plug that in my calculator, I should get 2,000. Now, I might be a hair off because that 99 cents is rounded down, but let's see what happens. I'll take my answer. Oh, wrong one. I'll take my answer and I'll multiply by the quantity 1 plus 0.04, and I'll raise it to the third power. And look at that. I got 2,000 on those even though I used the rounded form. Oh, I didn't use the rounded form on the calculator. That's why. If I do 1777 and 99 cents times 1.04, and I raise that to the third power, notice I get something pretty darn close to 2,000. And if I round to the nearest penny, I do turn it into 2,000. And that's, again, because I rounded, use the 2,000, or use the $1,777.99. Okay, so hopefully you were thinking, you know, Mr. Lawrence, when I divided this guy here, I could have set the problem up this way. I could have pretended it was the future. It's 3 years from now, and I have $2,000. It grew at 4% interest for the past 3 years. And if you look, this equation in blue and this right here are the same equation, because all I did was bring the quantity upstairs, and therefore that changes the exponent to a negative. So it's two ways to think about it. The first way I did it was intuitive to me. That way made the most sense. But as I was going along, I noticed, hey, I could think about it this way, where I'm in the future. I have the $2,000. How much did I initially invest 3 years ago? Okay, so either way, and if you type that in a calculator, I guess I'll just prove it to you so you don't have to take my word for it. All right, if I take 2,000 and I multiply by the quantity of 1.04 and I raise it to the negative third power, there we go. Look at that. I get $1,777.99. Okay. I'm tell you what, I think I'm going to set a record here on making the short videos, because this stuff is pretty easy. We'll get a little practice tomorrow and you guys should be good. All right, Mr. Lawrence signing off. Have a good night, everybody.